Hey everybody, glad you're here. It's another Friday. I think it's Good Friday. Not sure, I'm not really religious. But since it's Easter on Sunday, I think it's Good Friday today. Also, I've noticed there's more cars in our parking lot, so maybe people have off today. I don't know. Um, my dogs are very rambunctious today, so I'm hoping, Harley, go lay down. I'm hoping they settle down. Um, okay, so today's question, we're going to be talking about Microsoft Word today, so I was curious before I start sharing what you consider to be one of your favorite features of Microsoft Word. Uh, let's see who we've got in the house. Kathleen says hello. Kathleen's always here right on time. Thank you, Kathleen. Jason's in the house. Dara, who I'm curious to see if she learns anything today because they're both really geeky. Alex is over on YouTube setting up columns. That's funny. Alex actually was going to do that, and then I took it out. I tabled a couple of items for a later show, and that was one of them, because it is something that I teach. Jason saying happy Friday. Paul, good to see you here. Unkit is here from India. He likes to stay up late just to join us, which is really cool. Dara's taking my challenge to see if she learned something new today. Okay, so you guys need to answer the question of the day, which is, what is one of your favorite features of Microsoft Word? And then I'm going to share some of my favorites / some of my features that I think are cool and or helpful for you that you may not be aware of. Let's see. So Veronica is saying macros and styles. Those are two of her favorite features. Let's see. Dara's agreeing with me that she'll probably learn something. I hope so, Dara. Paul says he has a love-hate relationship with Word. The thing is, hey, Renee, good to see you here. Renee can't decide. Really, Renee? Pick one. Is anyone else there? Reset. Get their settings reset with Microsoft. I don't. I have Office 365 and I don't. Dara, have you seen that happen before? Unkit saying the review part track changes. He likes track changes. Okay. So one thing that I always tell my students is, so when I teach at Georgetown, in the first semester I teach Microsoft Office, and they always walk into class thinking that, oh my God, I'm going to be so bored. She's going to teach Word. I already know Word. And then they always walk out of class going, okay, so I didn't know Word like I thought I did. And I always get a kick out of that. But with every class, I tell them, throughout the entire semester, and I'm going to tell you today that my goal is that you learn at least one new thing. So I also say that when I do speaking engagements, but I usually win this challenge of you learning at least one new thing, because I pick and choose things that I think will work in my favor, of course. Let's see. Nikolai is saying he hates mail merge. Actually, Nick, I'm thinking about having somebody on the show to talk about mail merge, because there's still paralegals and lit support people that don't know how to do it. I learned it as a legal secretary, but I've gotten emails from people saying, I want to do this, and I'm like, that's a mail merge, and they've never heard of it. So I have a friend, a paralegal, who loves doing mail merge and teaches it and does it, so I think she'd be a good choice. Let's see. Dara's saying, I have to be honest, I haven't used Word in a long time. I used to, but I moved to Google Docs. Yep. I stuck with Excel, though, much better than, I agree. I use Google Sheets out of being forced to, because it makes sense to collaborate with other people, but I prefer Excel as well. I hear what you're saying, Dara, and that's a good point. Most law firms, though, are still in Microsoft Office, and unfortunately, some are still on older versions of Office. There's still people, I did a survey of my audience, and there's still people in 2010, still people in 2013, and then there's a lot of people that have been able to get into 2016. Let's see. Okay, Renee's picking one, column. She likes columns. That's cool. Hey, Paul, that's awesome. My mother was legal secretary for 30 years. That's really cool. So we have that connection. Paul was recently making fun of me, telling me that my show was entertaining, even though it's about legal stuff. So I had a big laugh out of that. All right, so let's go ahead and get the show started. Welcome to the Legal Tech Mastery Show. My name. Talking is not required for a live show. My name is Amy Bowser-Rollins, and I am here to teach you about legal technology as it relates to, I was going to say we go beyond legal technology. So sometimes we talk about technology that's used in the legal field, but today we're talking about a technology that is used everywhere. And there is specific legal use of Microsoft Word, which we're not going to get into today, but I do teach it in the part 2 of my Word class that I teach to Georgetown students. So, but today it's not legalese at all. So hopefully you guys that are not in legal will learn something new. All right, so apparently I'm losing my voice too. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm really having trouble sleeping. I Googled it because, I Google everything. And it said that you have trouble sleeping the older you get, and that women suffer more than men. Really sucks. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about today, Harley, go lay down, is generating sample text. So if there's any trainers in the audience today, oh, Jason, I was just talking about that. Let's see. Jason says he just transferred from 2010 to Office 365. Yeah, I did that switch a couple of years ago. So generating sample text is something that I'm distracted here for a second with technology, that trainers know how to do, but I like to teach it to everybody because I think that if you're showing somebody, if you're sitting there telling an attorney how to do something in Word and you don't have a document in front of you, but you want to show them something, sample text is a really cool way to do that. All right, so let's switch to this view. This is Microsoft Office 2016, and we're going to start with inserting sample text. Okay, so the way that you do it is you hit the equal sign, and then you type RAND for random, and then I'm going to start with open close paren. So what I got by default was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, each having 3 sentences. Now, depending on the version of Microsoft Word that you have, if you have an older version, like I think it's 2010, does the quick brown fox, blah, blah, blah. And 2013 and 2016, they switch up, the sample text. Okay, so I'm going to click undo here and show you a more specific way to do this. So let's say that you specifically want 3 paragraphs with 4 sentences. You can format it like this, and then you get what you asked for. Okay, so this is really helpful if, like I said, if you're just needing some sample text, even if you're doing another reason. One reason that you would do it is training, like I said, but another way that you use this typically is when you're creating a template document and you just need some filler text. Okay, let's see what Susan says. Yeah, okay, so you're agreeing with me. Love Office 365 as much as anyone can love a Microsoft process. Already succeeded with Dara. Yay, number one. So, Dara, I typed random, but there's an alternative. Let's take this out. You can do equals and then lorem and open close paren, and you'll get the lorem ipsum text. So this makes sense if you're doing like web-based stuff, but it doesn't make sense sometimes when you're dealing with attorneys. They're like, what the heck? So it's almost easier to use the English text version. Okay, so yeah, so Renee helps teach, technology in the legal industry. So she's just learned something new. Susan saying she liked that one. Doing it alongside with me. Awesome, Susan. That's a great idea. And then Dara's already happy, which I'm glad about. All right, so the next one is one of my, I don't know what to call it. So people think they know how to use tabs until they meet me or get in a class or, see my training. So specifically the right align tab. So we're going to go over that right now. And I'm going to show you the best way to, that I think you can use the right align tab. Okay, so for tabs, the first thing I want to do is turn on the ruler, because that's really helpful when you're dealing with tabs. So we're going to go to view and then turn on the ruler. So now at the very top, we have a ruler, which really helps with tabs. The second thing I want to do is go back to home and enable show hide. Now, a lot of people hate show hide. I remember my kids looking over my shoulder when I was working years ago, and when I turned on show hide, it looks like this, and there's spaces between every word, and you can see all the everything about the formatting, and they thought this was too busy looking. I've had attorneys complain about this, but what I do is I start out my class with my students and I say, trust me. Turn on show hide and trust me. And so that's going to happen for us today. You're going to see the benefits of it if you don't use it. You don't have to have it on all the time, but I want you to know how you can utilize it. All right, this next sentence is me reminding myself to tell you that if you're sending in a resume, in our industry especially, in legal, and then you put on your resume proficient in Microsoft Word, and then you have to send the Word versions to recruiters. Always ask for the Microsoft Word versions so that they can go in and take out your personal information and put in their stuff at the top. And also, sometimes they edit it, which Kathleen and I were having a side conversation about. We wish they wouldn't do that. But inevitably, HR and recruiters ask for the Microsoft Word version. So as a hiring manager, I would get the Word version, and because I'm tech savvy, I would turn on show hide and I would see just how proficient this person is with Microsoft Word, which really had nothing to do with the job they were applying for, but it tells me whether they're tech savvy or not. Okay, so be careful if you're putting proficient and then you don't do some of the things we're going to do today. Okay, so the first thing is if I click right here and I just hit tab, so by default Word has tab settings at every ½ inch. Okay, and a lot of people, that's as far as they ever go. They do tabs and they just keep them set at every 5 and they just go about their day. Okay, so the second example here is I'm tabbing over with 3 separate tabs, and currently I'm using the default tab settings, right? But let's imagine that you are more comfortable with tabs, and let's go up to the ruler. Okay, so over here on the far left, you may not be able to see this, but you will in the video later. Okay, here I'm mousing over it and it says left tab. On the far left, you can alternate, you can toggle between different types of tabs. So we're going to leave it left tab for now. But let's say for this paragraph right here, tabs 1, 2, and 3, that I just arbitrarily add some tabs. All right, so now you can see that's much cleaner. So instead of having tab, 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 or having extra tabs between the items, now you literally only have one tab before each item, okay? Now, this is the part that I love to teach, okay? This is part of my resume, but this is where it comes into play very often. So a lot of people end up trying to put something over here on the right, right? And typically it's a date range. In my case, I ended up being at 2 law firms back to back that downsized, and I didn't want my prospective hiring managers to think that I was job hopping. So I put an explanation here, and I teach this to my students that if you do have, you know, that's the first thing the recruiters look at. They look at how, it's unfortunate because sometimes it has nothing to do with anything, but they look at the dates right off the bat and they see if people are jumping a lot and they make preconceived judgment calls. But anyways, this is a perfect opportunity to use a right tab. So let's highlight these 2 paragraphs. Let's go over here and change this from a left tab. I clicked twice to get a right tab. The middle one was a center tab. And then I'm going to go all the way over on the ruler as far as I can go, and I'm going to click to add a tab, okay? So now, let's see what we got going on here. Oh, sorry. I've got these extra tabs here. So let's take out this one. Now it's working. Okay, so the way I took off that tab, by the way, which I was going to show you anyway, is to remove a tab. You just click and drag it downward and it removes it from the ruler. Okay, so here's my right tab, and see how nice this looks. Now, people tend to try and do a right align, but if you right align this whole paragraph, right, these 2 paragraphs, you right align them, all the text is going to go to the right, right? So you usually just want something on the right, like this text right here, to be on the right. So then other people think they're fancy and make a table. And it works, right? But it's not needed, okay? So simply adding a tab, a right align tab, and adding it all the way over on the right, and then going from this left text over to the next thing with one tab, and you get the job done, okay? So let's see. Paul is playing along too. That's cool. Susan says, show hide is awesome when you've got foobarred, we'll say, text and you aren't sure what the person did. It helps reveal their mess. That's true. Susan, okay, you just said much nicer than I did, proficient or not. Elizabeth is already learning something. Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a former student of mine. I adore her. And then Susan saying she loves tabs. Center tab is wickedly helpful. So it was on my list, Susan, but I skipped it today. I usually teach left, center, right, and decimal. Today I was trying to keep this show shorter. Chastity made it! Yay! Chastity's been trying to get those lawyers away from her long enough to come here during her work, during the lunch hour. And here we are. Here's another newbie, John Randall, a very close friend of mine, finally here watching live. Yay! All these people are here live. I'm so excited. It makes me so excited. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is, let's see how you guys feel about this one. You guys know that there's a new line feature as opposed to a new paragraph feature. Put in the comments if you know. Just put yes or no for new line versus new paragraph. Do you have any idea what a new line is versus a new paragraph? And here, Dara, let's see if Dara knows it. Let's see if Kathleen knows it. Yes, Susan, there's a decimal tab. So if you're excited about the center tab, Susan, you're going to be excited about the decimal tab. It basically just lines the numbers up at the decimal point. All right, so let me know if you have any idea what a new line is. So Alex is fessing up. No, thank you, Alex. Dara knows. Susan's guessing. Shift enter. So we've got 2 people, Susan and Dara, that are saying they know how to do it. That's cool. Anybody else know how to do it? Renee saying yes. I had a feeling Renee was going to say yes. Okay, so let's switch to show you how that works. So here's an example. So because I've got show hide on, let's turn show hide off. See how it's white space and empty and you can't see what's going on? Am I convincing you slowly but surely that show hide is helpful? So these two paragraphs right here have a shift enter, which is a new line, which you probably can't see. It's basically an arrow pointing back to the left. But down here, this is a perfect example of a usage of using a new line. So you want to add bullets, and if you were to try and put John Smith and then hit enter for a new paragraph, it would make a new bullet, right? But you want to be able to put people's titles, so name, title, name, title, name, title, in the bullets, which when you turn show hide off looks pretty nice, right? So same thing for if you were using numbers. So this is just one example of using it, but if you ever, the key to using new line is that all the formatting is held in a paragraph symbol. And the paragraphs, it's the formatting is in the paragraph symbol at the end, not in the beginning, which is backwards for people that learned WordPerfect. But so if you have a sentence and there's a paragraph at the end, all the formatting for that preceding sentence is in that paragraph. So the benefit of using a new line is that you don't have to worry about the formatting changing. So if you do a new line just to get, something to another line, it holds the formatting of the paragraph symbol. So it's just a slight nuance that comes in handy sometimes when you want to not mess up your formatting. You don't want it to be different, but you absolutely need to go to the next line for some reason. Okay. All right. So Kathleen's saying yes. I had a feeling she would know as well. John is saying he's heard of it, and Jason is saying it's cool as if he hadn't heard of it. Okay. All right. So let's see. What do we have next? All right. So I want to know how you feel about before and after spacing. How confident are you? That's the question I want to ask. How confident are you with working with before and after spacing? Alex says he wants to show it again. So if I switch back to here. So if you hit Shift Enter here, Alex, instead of a hard return, instead of just hitting Enter, hit Shift Enter, and you'll get a new line without starting a new paragraph, okay? All right, so tell me how confident you are with before and after spacing. Kimberly is saying, I have to remove my, there's the comment. Very confident. Yay, Kimberly. All right, Susan is saying she loves before and after spacing. I have a feeling Susan just likes Word in general. And Alex is saying thank you. You're welcome, Alex. Okay, so some people are very confident. That's good. Okay, let's switch here. So here's my favorite example. Have you ever done a title page and you end up doing this? Return, 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 type something. Return, 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 type something. Okay, raise your hand if you have formatted this way. Raise your hand. You mean I've been doing something right all the time? I thought I invented Shift Enter. So Paul's a comedian, apparently. He's a new friend of mine. And Wade's not here to make me laugh, so Paul gets to make me laugh today. Yes, Susan, it is weird that this makes you happy. No, no, it's not. I have little things like that make me happy. Okay, so Luis is fessing up that he's guilty of doing this. Thank you. And Karen, if you're saying, of course, I think you're fessing up. I'm not sure, depending on what I said at the port at that time. All right, so this is a perfect example. Unkit saying that he's considerable confident, but he gets messed up in some cases. Okay, so instead of doing this, keep in mind, you want to show that you're proficient in Word, and plus you just don't want to sit here all day hitting hard returns, okay? if you could see my face, you'd be like, I would be like this. You don't want to sit here all day hitting hard returns, okay? All right, so I'm going to take out this, and I'm going to take out this, and then I'm going to go into this paragraph. All right, so I'm going to go to paragraph, and right here, the before and after spacing, which you may not be able to see too well, especially if you're on a phone, but believe me, it's right here. You may have played around with it in the past, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put 200 before and 200 after. Voila! So isn't that a beautiful thing? I think it's very beautiful. And it just works. I mean, don't sit there and hit hard return all day, okay, please? Okay. I've convinced you to change your spacing instead of hitting hard returns. I know I have, okay? All right, so the next one is keep with next and keep lines together. I can't believe how many people still don't know how to do this. Even in the legal industry, when I'm, you know, dealing with a legal case and we're transferring documents back and forth, there's still people that get upset with the software because it won't do what they want it to do, or they've gotten a document from someone else and they're reformatting it and they're like, why won't it do what I want it to do? And it's because somebody put on formatting. So let's talk a second about keep with next and keep together. So here's an example of you're moseying down the page and you see some text, and then you have a heading at the bottom. And you want to make sure that this heading is never separated from the next paragraph. No matter how the pagination changes with adding and deleting text, you always want to make sure that this heading stays right with the next paragraph. Okay, so I'm going to select the heading, and I'm going to go into paragraph again, and then I'm going to go to the second tab, and we're going to select keep with next, and then we're going to click OK. Notice it jumped right away. Now, the thing is here, if you inherit a document from someone else and you're trying to, for whatever reason, separate the heading, or you're trying to get the heading to be on the previous page and it's driving you nuts, you may have show hide turned off. Notice that when I turn it on, there's a little black box to the left of this that keeps it together. It's a sign that that formatting has been added. And when you toggle off, you are clueless, basically. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to move on down the page. So here's an example of a paragraph that's half at the bottom of this page and half at the top of this page. And let's say that the attorney, for whatever reason, is telling you that I don't want that to ever split. This paragraph is so important. I want it to never split. Now notice I did a double click. I went out to the left margin to where my cursor points back to the right, and I double click to select the entire paragraph. Now we're going to right click, go to paragraph. And yes, all these options are available from the ribbon, but if you want to chase down where Word changes the ribbon all the time, go ahead. All right, we're going to select keep lines together. And now all this paragraph has is all together, and again, there's a little black box that, again, if you have show hide turned off, you wouldn't have a clue that that's been added, okay? So hopefully I'm convincing you that show hide is very helpful. Here's my third example. Let's say that for whatever reason, the attorney is asking you to make sure that this list doesn't split, okay? So I'm going to highlight the first 5 paragraphs because I don't want to add it to the last option, right? I only want to keep the list together, not the last number with the next paragraph. All right, so then we're going to add keep with next. Ta-da! So that is keep with next and keep lines together. All right, so John is fessing up, and then I've convinced him, I've convinced him that there's a better way. See, the cool thing about teaching this kind of stuff is that I tell my students that I want them to email me when they use what they've learned. And so I said, I don't care if it's 3 years later. email me when you shine in the office because you showed somebody how to do something that you learned in my class. So I get emails every once in a while. Sometimes I get emails within the next week of teaching something. You know, they're all happy because they were able to show something they've learned, which is the whole point of teaching, right? That somebody learns something and can apply it. But sometimes I get emails months later. I just got an email a few months ago from a student that I haven't had in years, and she was saying that she was using some of the Excel stuff that I showed her. That's pretty cool. Jeez. Friends don't let friends do hard returns. Kimberly, you mean a signature line can't go all by itself on one page? She's saying keep lines together. Or keep with next, I guess. It's funny. All right, so Unkit is saying that I actually taught him this. That's cool. And then Alex is saying he's learning. I'm all about not splitting related content in Word documents as much as reasonably possible. Keep together as a new one. You just learned that today? That's why you're saying thank you? So Susan, I can check that box that Susan learned something new? Let me know. All right, so that is keep with next. All right, so here's one of my favorite ones, which a lot of people don't know until they have the need, and some people just do workarounds because they don't know there is a solution, which I think is hilarious. So, all right, you ready? So this one's called a non-breaking space. I also call it a hard space, but it's technically called a non-breaking space. So if, for example, if I have Amy over here and Bowser-Rollins over there, but I want that to always stick together. I never want it to be split at the end of a line. I'm going to replace that space with Control-Shift space. Look at that. And then you guys can't see it, and I don't feel like blowing up right now, but there's a degree symbol that's been replaced right there. In the space area, there's a degree symbol. Okay, so here's another example of the LLP has been separated. Okay, so, oh, well, this one's different because, okay, that was a bad example. And then this one is a phone number. So now that phone number will stay together with the space after the area code. Okay, so non-breaking space. Any takers on that one? Petra's in the house. Petra, we don't want our goal today, Petra, is to see if you learn at least one new thing. Okay. Susan's saying I always teach her something new, so I guess she's confirming. Oh, here she is confirming that yes, that was new. And then Paul's saying great. Okay, so alrighty. Next, what do we have next? Jason, so it's one of those things that you don't know that you don't know, but if you're finagling like any type of Word document, you know, and I actually would be curious if Google Docs has this, since Dara says she's in Google Docs a lot, and I am too. I don't know if it has it. I'd have to Google it to see if it has it. See what I did there? There's so much to know. Can you draw a line that does not move if you type over it? Can you draw a line that does not move if you type over it? You mean a horizontal line, Alex? There's a couple ways to add lines if you're talking about a horizontal line. You're talking about like for a signature where you want a line and then you want to type over it. A couple different ways to do that. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you is you know how you go into add a footer? Let's see, let's switch here. All right, so you know how you go to add a footer? This is a 12-page document. So I'm going to double click in the footer area. And then you can go right here to add a page number, right? And if you're adding at the bottom of the page, you have all these choices, but they're all pre-formatted and they're, you know, they come this way, but they're not, any of them are not the way that I like to do it. So I was getting annoyed one day, and I figured out, probably Googled it, and I figured out that there's another way to add footers, page number footers, without choosing this. Okay, so we're going to go to the Insert tab, and we're going to go. So I'm in the footer, and I'm left aligned right now. I'm going to go to Quick Parts. Quick Parts is a way to add little macro things. This area right up here at the very top left is where you can add quick parts that you use all the time. We're not going to do that today. But quick parts, go into choose field. And then this whole world, I remember Chastity learning this from my Fast Tip Friday. Chastity emailed me back and said I opened up a whole new world for her because there's all these other things you can do besides what I'm showing you right now. All right, so we're going to go to page, and then you get your page number. And then a lot of times what I'm doing, and it's probably personal preference, I do it a lot in Excel and Word. I like to show the total page count. I like to, I do a lot of user manuals and stuff like that, so I like people to know where they are against the entire quantity of pages. Okay, so the second thing is num pages. And Unkit, I don't know if I showed this to you, so you might be learning this right now. Unkit helps me with documentation. All right, so it says 1 of 12. Typically, you probably would want this. You might want it centered, but I end up going over here to the right. I don't know why. It's personal preference. It looks weird to me when it's not there. And then you might also want to add the word page. That's another personal preference. So now if I get out of the footer and go down to another page, 2 of 12, 3 of 12, you get the idea, okay? So let's switch back to me. So quick parts, you may not know about quick parts. You may not know that there's fields that you can add for page numbering. And while you're in there, go ahead and see what else is in there because it's pretty darn cool. Okay. No, Petra, but I'm glad you brought it up. Let's just go ahead and talk about it real quick. I use this a lot as well, and it's a hidden thing that a lot of people don't know about. So if you have text that's lowercase, sentence cap, which is also initial cap, or sentence cap, or initial cap, or all caps, Shift F3, if you highlight the text and do Shift F3, it toggles between them. So if you decide that you want, like you have a heading that's initial cap and you want it to be all caps, but you don't want to retype it in all caps, just highlight the text and do Shift F3. Thank you, Petra. All right. So Alex is confirming that he's asking about a signature line. Susan says, what? I'm always in Google Docs trying to do Microsoft stuff by habit sometimes. Yeah, that's true. Me and Dara probably would agree with you. And Unkit says, yes, he was learning. Cool. Okay, so now we're moving on to one of my favorites. This really is one of my favorites. Format Painter. So a lot of people know that it exists, and a lot of people use it occasionally. But I want to show you another level. I want to step it up for you because you may not know that you could do this. Even I used Format Painter for years and years and didn't know this, and then one year I learned, so now I share it with everybody. So Format Painter lets you, by default, if you have this heading, it's bold and it's red, and you want all these headings to be bold and red, you can highlight the paragraph, click on Format Painter, and then go to the next paragraph and click, and it'll apply that formatting. Now, to do the next one, you have to go through the same process that I just did. Okay? Well, let's show you a faster way. So let's go back to the first one. Let's double click on Format Painter. What? Who knew you could do that? And then click each heading one at a time. So Jason, type mind blown. Because that's how I felt when I first learned this. Who knew? There's no intuitiveness that tells you that you can double click on this button, Format Painter, Nobody showed me that. Obviously, I learned it somewhere, but you know what I'm saying? Like, You think it's a toggle, you think it's a selection button, but nobody tells you that you can double click it until you learn it. So now, hopefully you've learned that, which is pretty cool. Let's see. Shift F3 for I just used icons, drop down the ribbon. I just used the, oh, right, to switch them. Yeah, people do. Actually, you don't even need to go to the ribbon these days, right? You just highlight the text and it gives you a little bar right there and you click it, you know. But, you know, sometimes, especially for capitalization, I guess you're saying you have to go up. Yep. All right, so Susan's saying double click as if I don't know if she's confirming she knew it or whether she just learned it. And then John, I think he's confirming that he just learned it. Sweet, kind of gives it away. Sweet. What, Jason? You're supposed to type mind blown. Okay, he's switching it up. What the what? Susan's saying lifesaver and time saver. Yep. Yeah, it's these little things that, you know, when you're under a deadline especially. Okay, so the next one I have for you is, and this one's kind of interesting. Did you know that you could restrict editing to portion of a Word document? So this is just a sample Word document, but this is the heading of what we're about to do. Okay, so let's say that you're sending out this Word document and you want to lock down everything except for maybe these 2 paragraphs, right? So you're sending it out to people and you only want them to edit those 2 paragraphs, okay? So what you can do is you can go to, I need a drink. We're going to go to the Review tab, and we're going to select Restrict Editing. I'm going to get a drink real quick. Susan says she always prefers keyboard options over mouse options. Yeah, it's a 50-50 thing, right? So I'm constantly on my mouse, but I actually use my left hand to do keyboard stuff sometimes. Okay, Susan's confirming that she did know about double-clicking Format Painter. Yay! Kathleen, can I send everyone I've ever worked with to you for Microsoft Office training? Kathleen, all of these are Fast Tip Fridays that I did, you know, so they're all on my YouTube channel. So you can just search for any of the terminology that I'm using, you know, usually the title of what I'm talking about. So you can send them to it, sort of. Okay, so this is pretty cool. So when I selected Restrict Editing, it comes up with this panel over here, which you may not be able to read. But the first part says that you can limit it by, you can limit the ability to format styles. I'm going to skip that for now because, you know, it goes into listing the styles and you can select which ones you want people to edit or not. We don't care about that right now. All right, so we're going to check allow only this type of editing in the document. Now the default is no changes and read only, which is what we're going to do, but I'm going to drop this down. You can also only allow track changes, like Unkit was mentioning earlier. You can only allow them to comment, and you can only allow them to fill in a form. But for now, we're going to choose read only for the entire document, except for what we tell them that they can do. And this next section allows you to choose who. So normally you're going to choose everyone if it's going outside your firm, but it does have an option here if you're on a network and, you know, inside a firm, that you can choose specific users, but we're not going to go there either. And then you just say, yes, start enforcing, okay? So I'm going to highlight the text that I want to make available, and I'm going to click yes, start enforcing, and then you add a password to that section, which I should retype to make sure I did it right. I'm just typing password. Okay, so now this text, that's interesting. This is supposed to go yellow, and see how it says highlight the regions I can edit. It's supposed to be yellow. It's not yellow right now. But let's see if it worked. If I can, actually, I've never tested if I can change the document. Okay, I'm clicking a C. I'm clicking before changes, and I'm putting a C, and it's not allowing me. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to try to type something. So it might have to do with saving the document and then opening it again, but I'm not going to go there today. I do have Fast Tip Friday on this, and it shows how to do it and also to take it back off. And it's called Restrict Editing to Portions of a Document. So in the interest of time, because I just noticed it's 1:36, I'm going to move on, but I want you to know this feature exists, okay? All right, I'm going to close this pane, switch back to me for a second. And I think I've got two more. Yeah, got two more. Let's see how you guys are doing over here. All right. Jason says I'm a keyboarder at heart, but mousers are people too. Yes, we are. Okay. All right. Two more things that you may not be aware of. Both are pretty cool in my opinion. They're pretty cool. All right. So this first one is I have Fast Tip Friday on the fact that you can insert screenshots using any of the Office products. We're sticking to Word today, but did you know that you don't need a screenshot software? Because in our world of legal, we have to beg, bribe, and whatever to get software installed because they lock everything down and they only allow certain software. Blah blah blah. IT guys are on a power trip usually. So and they want everybody to have the same thing in the law firm. So if you want screenshot software and you're not happy with the Windows snipping tool, I'll do it this way: snipping tool. The snipping tool gets by in a rush, but if you really want to do screenshots for documentation, like if you're creating a cheat sheet or something like that, you need something. I use Snagit, but there's other ones. There's some free ones too. But did you know that you don't even need to install software? You can go to the insert menu and actually, oh, it's grayed out. I think I messed up my document. I'm going to exit my document and not save it. And actually, maybe I'll just use this one since I'm here. But actually, I'm going to switch off for a second because I want to make sure that I think I added that protection in the wrong way, maybe. That's the nature of live. But real quick, let me try to open this document again. And insert. Okay, I got it back. All right, so we're going to go to insert screenshot. And then if you choose either one of these, it'll choose an open window. See how it says available windows? It'll just right away grab that whole window as if you've already prepared it. But you can also do a screen clipping. So if you choose screen clipping, you just go and, let's say you want this paragraph for whatever reason. And then it puts that screenshot right in your document, and you can even resize it if you want, which we do sometimes when we're doing screenshots, right? So this actually works with Office in general. It works with Word, PowerPoint. It's weird to do it in Excel, but I think it does work. But my Fast Tip Friday shows Word, PowerPoint, and Outlook. So if you're in an Outlook email and you want to add a screenshot, you don't need screenshot software, and you don't need to use the Windows snipping tool, which is limited. Okay? So, all right. All right, so last but not least, I want to show you 3 mouse tricks that are pretty cool. So the first one is click, shift, click. Luis is saying, I love the screenshot feature. Who knew, right? I mean, you can be sitting in Word and do a screenshot real quick. Okay, so this one's kind of cool. If I click somewhere and highlight, let's say, you know how you want to highlight specific text, like the embed code here, and then sometimes it goes a little bit further than you want. Well, you know, you might know, you can use shift arrow to get it more finite to what you want. But this is a really cool feature. You can just click and then hold down the shift key and click, and it will be more precise for you. So basically you click and then you say, I want it all the way over here to designs. And then so instead of, you know how we normally just drag and drop, so forget the drop part. We usually just drag it over and we hope that it gets the right thing with or without the space after, with and without punctuation, right? You can click and drag and try to get to the right spot, or you can let Control help you by clicking here, holding down the shift, not Control, and then click. So it's literally click, shift, click, and it gets you a more precise click. All right, so the reason I keep saying Control is because the next one is Control. So let's say that I highlight this text right here. Let's say that you're transferring specific phrases to another document, okay? So did you know that you don't have to do them one at a time? What? Okay, so I just highlighted that like normal, but now I'm going to hold down my Control key, and I'm going to select this one, and this one, and this one, okay? So now if I go to copy, and then I go down here and I paste, these are the 4 things that I highlighted. Yay! All right, last but not least, what do you do when you want to copy just the email addresses on this little table? It's not a table, everything's tabbed over. But what do you do if you just want to copy the email addresses? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You hold down your Alt key, and you basically highlight as far over as you need to get the longest line, okay? And then you copy it. And then, oops, you paste it. You paste it. Let me try it again. Alt key, copy, paste. So here's my email addresses only. So basically you can take something out of a columnar format and get it out just that. So if you did it without the Alt key, if I just try to take the email addresses, you get this, right? And that's not what we want. Okie dokie. Yes, Susan, I do that all day long as well, but some people don't know that they can get in that. You don't know till someone shows you, but I constantly am using shift arrow, shift control arrow. Yep. Yeah. Sounds like you're pretty proficient in Word, Susan. That's pretty cool. Jason, I knew I liked you for a reason, Dara says. So maybe Susan learned something new. Alt and drag. Jason is excited. And Paul is saying he could have used that a million times. Yeah. Yep. All right, now I got it from Jason. Mind blown. Yes. Alex is saying he's learning things. That's really cool. And Dara is saying, I really struggle with the lack of keyboarding options on the Mac. That's the primary reason I couldn't switch from a PC. So my son just switched to a Mac, and also this other girl in one of my Facebook groups just switched to a Mac, and she was struggling. I have, Dara, you're not going to be surprised by this. I have a text file of a list of things that I send to my friends that switch from Windows to Mac, because it's things that you instinctively do in Windows and you want to do them on a Mac. So I figured out how to do some of those things or how to get workarounds for those things, and I just have this list of a video, go watch this video and make sure you can do these settings. And, it's just something I copy and paste and send to people as needed. Susan's saying, Dara, a lot of them do convert over. I mean, I converted to Mac in 2010, but because I'm in litigation support, I definitely need to have Windows around. And then, of course, I had to buy another PC to do this live streaming thing. I have a mental list, but I'm slow to commit such ingrained stuff to new muscle memory. One of the things that irritated me right off the bat was the fact that the delete goes the other direction. So I figured out how to make it work the Windows way. So now I can be on my Mac and because I primarily work on a Mac. But delete goes the wrong way as far as I'm concerned. And scroll goes the wrong way too. I fixed that. Okay, so hopefully I think I succeeded. Let me know. I think I did. In fact, I'd be curious to see if there's anyone who didn't learn a damn thing today. I will stick around for a few seconds to see if the comments come through and confirm that you did learn at least one new thing or not. And if you didn't, then that's a challenge to me to do another episode and take it a step further to get another level going on. Okay, let's see here. So comments take a little bit to get through. I'm gonna wait here for a little bit for them to come in. I don't know exactly what the delay is. Does anybody else know? I think it's seconds, but it's annoying. All right, so Alex is saying sure, meaning he did learn something. Paul says everything was new. Dara saying, absolutely learned. Thank you, Amy. You're awesome. You're pretty awesome too, Dara. Petra, did you learn something? Yes. Cool. Jason saying yes. John's a techie, and you just, like I said, you don't know what you don't know. So now he learned the alt feature, and he's like Paul, like he could have used that probably. So Karen's confirming that she learned something. That's cool. And 10 to 15 seconds. Petra's saying 10 to 15. Yeah, that's about right. But it seems long, like when you're sitting here, waiting for comments, But last week, comments came in as I was going offline, so I felt bad. But, I don't know till... All right, so Renee is enumerating them and saying she learned 2 new things because she's pretty techie and she's pretty proficient in Microsoft Office too. So cool. At least Renee learned something new. That's cool. All right. So Unkit's saying, learn new things. That would be great if you could take one more episode with more new. I will. And because of Alex's question, I guess I can add that to the list. Okay, so Susan's confirming she learned a couple of things. Okay, cool. So I think I succeeded, or I know I succeeded now. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will be back here next Friday, same time, same place. Thank you for being here.